Well, hello, welcome to the show. This is the first episode of All Four Songs Live. Doesn't look like anyone's here, but I think maybe it starts from the beginning when you join. I do not know. Comment moderation not set. Hey, there's Josh Davis is here. So I've been watching everybody play music on the internet, and it's been great to feel like we're all kind of doing something at the same time together, unity. And I felt like maybe playing songs all by myself would be kind of lonely. Trying to watch all your comments while I'm trying to remember the words would be kind of complicated. So I thought maybe I could have some friends join me, and I thought we could talk about songs, writing them, singing them, remembering them, all the parts. Uh, there's something interesting about the creative energy of having all this time that none of us musicians are used to who tour. And we want to be productive. We're not used to sitting still, so there's this voice inside you that's like, go write some songs, and then there's this inspiration thing that has a hard time just turning on. But it can be turned on. It's a skill, being creative. You can just turn it on. So I want to talk about that with some other artists and songwriters and see how everybody feels about that, like going to the office to sit down and be creative in your basement or whatever. So today I'm going to have Anders come on and talk to me about my songs. Figured I'd be my first guest, right? It's my show. And then I'll have Josh come on and play, and we'll talk about his songs a little bit. And then I think maybe in the future, it'll kind of be a dialogue with the other songwriters about my songs and their songs. We'll see, unless none of you can hear and this doesn't work, and then I'll never do it again because I'll be so embarrassed. I'll just stay down here with myself. So, yeah. Figures I should start with all four, Now I have a show called All Four Songs and a song All for Money and The Four. That's 4 4s. Still don't say. Looks and sounds good. All right, here we go. Everything here's not sewn up tight. I good reason for concern. All my options are calming fancies. What if I need to escape? But if I need to escape, but I'm still waiting on the porch. Got a keen sense of the edge. I might work here till I risk it all with no strength to turn around. All my efforts in the air, I'm just trying to keep my head above ground. Make a simple good living somehow. All 4 wheels on the road. All the local roads freezing over. I'm sure it's unsafe to drive. I've been weary at the wheel so long. Think of all that I've passed up. Wonder how I've come this far. I'm just trying to keep my head above the ground. Make a simple good living somehow. All 4 wheels on the road. I traded 7 years for this, and I'm buried in repair. Burned out headlights and slow brakes. I've no idea what is next. I'm pushing on. I'm just trying to keep head above the ground and make a simple good living somehow. All four wheels on the road. This is not in favor with the odds. My discretion's out of practice. I might end up broken down way out when there's no one around. I'm just trying to keep my head above the ground, make a simple good living somehow. All four wheels on the road. I dropped my pick right when I started, but I just mustered on, folks. Dedication to the live broadcast. So that seemed kind of appropriate. I even messed up the line about the fence and being stuck because I was thinking about how relevant it was. So now I'm going to have Anders Beck join me. Anders, of course, is in my band, our band. We're in a band together. He is the dobro player, but he is also a great supporter of my songwriting. He says a lot of nice things about me sometimes when people are listening. And, you know, I'm often shocked how many of my lyrics he does know. When I forget them, he is most likely on stage to know them and appreciates them very much, which, you know, is encouraging. You kind of want that kind of support from your bandmate. I see some comments that it's glitchy, but happy to have it either way. I'm going to try and sort out some of these technical difficulties as I have encountered a few using a separate app here where we are waiting for Anders. There's a little bit of a delay, so your comments come in a little bit after I say something in real life. But whatever, we're together. You're in my basement. I'm in my basement. Yeah, Anders Beck, song lyrics. He knows them. He's going to ask me about them. Here he comes, folks. Mr. Anders Beck. Everybody say hi, Anders.
Hi. Hey, Paul.
Buddy.
Hi, man. How are you? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. How did it sound? I dropped my pick. Did you notice?
Yeah, I was judging, really, you know.
Right away, I was like, should I restart? Or I'm like, oh, restart the first song of the first show? Shit.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like maybe this could be it.
It was a nice little like hurdle for like trying to remember the words, you know, like thinking about something else the entire time.
Yeah. Well, I like that song. So sort of what Paul was saying, everybody, is that I don't write a lot of songs. I write parts to songs. So I'm not the you know, I don't really belong on this show that much. But the thing that I could do here is I know a lot about Paul's songs. I know a lot about Paul, and I'm a big fan of his songwriting, so maybe I could help talk about his songs. Is that the idea, Paul?
Yeah, I figured I might as well subject myself to this scrutiny of songwriting before my friends, you know.
Yeah. And, you know, if there's people watching this conversation, I can actually maybe get a straight answer out of you about some stuff, which would be good too, you know.
We'll see. I'll probably be pretty dodgy and evasive about
I know.
And details.
Well, let's see. So I was thinking, I kind of know some of this stuff, but it might be interesting to other people. Like, how long does it take you when you're writing a song? Obviously, everything's different a little bit, but you often hear people be like, "I wrote a song today," or like, and my reaction is always, "Well, no, you didn't. Keep working on it." You know, like, because it seems like it takes longer. It would take longer to write a great song. But in your experience, like what's average, or what's what's different? Or first of all, what's average? Second of all, what's the shortest time it's ever taken? Third of all, what's the
longest? Give us the
Yeah.
details. Something you just made me realize I'm looking forward to is I give the same answer to a lot of these questions where it's like, it really depends. And I'll get to see if my songwriter friends say the same thing. Sometimes I sit down and just write something real fast. Do It Alone, I wrote in like, how long is that song? 2.5 minutes. I wrote it in like 20. I was just feeling it on the couch. And
was it Windshield like that too?
Windshield was kind of like that too. And I recorded the whole thing as I was writing it so that I wouldn't forget it, because I was writing it so fast, like stream of conscious kind of stuff like that. Sometimes I never know. I don't even know what I'm writing about. I'm like evoking an emotion and then like scattering imagery and like shocking statements that support the feeling more than I'm like writing about something.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm writing about something, it often takes a lot longer. All for Money took me like years to write. I wrote the beginning part real quick, the bluegrass part, and then I was onto this idea that was like hard to convey. So I just like mustered it over for a real long time until I could catch up.
Yeah.
Mustard ketchup.
Yeah. All right, the show. This is a good show. We're good, folks. Well, okay, All for Money. That's something. I mean, I know a lot about it. I'm not sure a lot of other people do necessarily. That, you know, we named an album after it, which is tongue in cheek. You know, most people know that, I would hope. But that song, you know, I know it took a lot of time because it felt weird to you, right? I mean, I would say from you know, talking to you enough about it, it's vulnerable in a way that you don't write usually. That's a very different song than you usually write. Like, it's about you, whereas all these songs are about you, but you kind of remove yourself enough from them so that it can be about anybody. You want to talk a little bit about that?
This one was different. I kind of was writing about something really specific, something kind of hard to talk about too, which was like the pressure of our success and like the burden of people's expectations. We talk a lot about is like when we were that young band that would go up to like McManigal's in Manistee, Michigan, and drive my truck with a trailer, and no one in the bar cared who we were. It was like easy to win people over, and it was fun. Just like drink some shots and play When Doves Cry, and people would be like, "Oh my gosh, I know this song." But then something happens where we get a lot of fans, and they travel a lot, and they spend a lot of money to come see us or watch us from their house. Now it's a lot easier. And there's this pressure that builds up, and it's like it was hard to talk about because I didn't want to like rub people the wrong way and be like, "Hey, you're putting pressure on me and I don't like it." It's like it's something we enjoy and we love, and I couldn't live without it. So,
well,
but I still wanted to explore this weight of the task or something.
I mean, it's hard to talk about the burden of something that feels so good. You know, I mean, I think that's why it's weird to talk about. And like, I'm not sure I can put you on. I mean, I'll put you on the spot a little bit, I guess, but there's that what we call the triumph section of the song. That lyrical content there is still gets me every single time personally, and maybe that's because I know a little bit about what it's about. But that seems. I mean, like I remember when you sang it for me the first time, I was like, "Oh yeah, we're going there, bro!" Like that's some. I mean, so first of all, tell them the part we're talking about, and if you would kind of explain that particular part, because
he means the spent too much time looking for the right song to sing. That part, which you'll hear because I'm going to play it for you. You know, the weight of this whole thing really sunk in when we were playing that Bell's show, and a friend of ours passed away who had health problems, but during a 3-night run, she passed away. Lovey. And we were backstage, and the like the amount of responsibility on us as like a light for our community was like more palpable than ever before. Like we didn't want to go on stage. We were grieving. we didn't know what to play. I think we were going to open the show with Chalk Dust Torture or something like that, and it felt really wrong. Everything felt wrong. Bring Out Your Dead, like we had saved all this material for the third night of the run, and it was like every song had a whole new meaning that night, and it was hard to sing all of them. We decided to play Into the Mystic for her, and I remember it being so difficult to get through.
Yeah, that whole that show was the hardest thing I've ever done. I mean,
and I just like, it dawned on me that night that was the feeling that needed to be conveyed in the middle of the song to understand the other part about feeling a burden of that, like of being a musician and a creative person who, not only is asked to be creative, fresh and new over and over again, but also to like be there for people through some pretty tough shit.
yeah, I mean,
it gets me I think about her every time. I think about all of our friends every time, or anybody that's ever gone through anything. And that expression of like, if you need a voice, I'm yours. Man, I mean it. And I feel it when I sing it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, that's what I wanted to hear.
Should we go there?
I'm with you, man. Every time I get to play that shreddy section right before that, it's like, I got this, hopefully. All right, play the song for us, bro.
Capo's in the wrong spot, so there I go with my second nervous mistake. What if we done it all for money? Nobody even really cared. Who can you pay to come and clear it all away, to start fresh and grit it all again? Maybe it's just like Elvis on the big screen, someone lied in your dreams. You're gonna put the hard times on poor choices, gotta put the good ones on luck. Better save something for to get you smarter when you're done and all out of work. Hope it ain't like Darwin and his silly ideas, they're only right if they leave. How could the top feel so empty? To the point, nothing left but to fall. They used to love this, why don't they like it when I'm just trying to grow? Could be like sending people into outer space with no real finish to the race. Making money from nonsense. Living large on the Now I am surrounded Spent too much time looking for the right song to sing. It matters more the love it brings. But if you need a voice, I'm yours, friend. For something better in the end. What if we'd done it all for money? Nobody ever even really cared. Getting paid, come and clear it all away. Start fresh and earn it all again. Probably life's just like Dorothy in a weird dream. Nothing's as hard as it may seem.
I think that was really well written.
It's an interesting juxtaposition for, like, you know, the S getting so heavy during that one part. And then you're about to play the mouth flabber, whatever that's even called.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good song.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. I like you. I like your songs. So I think I'm really good to have as a host. Someone that didn't like you.
If it doesn't go well with other people, I'll just have you back, you know. You could just be like, you could be that feature on the show. Like, I'll put you over in the corner over here.
Just, I know the login. I mean, I think I can always be. I think I can always come in as far as I know.
I almost dropped my pick again. I mean, it's like, it's nerve-wracking not be able to judge someone's reactions. You know, this is like, I've watched some people do this and they're like, oh, this is strange knowing everyone's out there. But, you know, usually if I'm having that feeling on stage, I just look up and people are smiling and I'm like, this is good.
Yeah, it's like you know, when we do radio shows, sometimes we talk about that feeling, you know, and we're like, okay, here's the five of us standing in a room. There's like thousands of people somewhere, but we sure don't see them. And it's 10 in the morning. Do you write on guitar, mandolin, piano? Like, what's your?
I write on guitar pretty much exclusively. Sometimes I come up with ideas on mandolin, like when we're playing, or melodies, but usually guitar. I've been thinking sometimes I wrote Ashes in the Moonlight on, or Ashes, I suppose we call it. I wrote that on piano, just messing around. And then I had to like figure out how to change it to a guitar part that resembled nothing of the piano part. Was just like a cymbal probably or something.
Mm-hmm.
So you asked me to play Demons too, which maybe I'll gear up to play, try and keep on the right place.
Yeah.
I was trying to remember if I wrote that on guitar. Cause it's so bluegrassy. It's not like what I would do. Even that All for Money beginning, it's like hard for me to play.
I feel like you did.
I guess I must have wrote it on guitar because I kind of remember sitting there with the notes on my phone on my couch in Kalamazoo, trying to remember the idea.
No, I feel like you did because it was slower and we made it bluegrassy.
Yeah, I don't have any like old recordings of that. They're probably somewhere, but I thought about playing it on mandolin for the show right now, but then I was
that wouldn't be good at all.
There's so many more strings I'd have to tune, you know.
So this song. Well, I was thinking about this song because we were both there that night at Strawberry Music Festival. We were wandering around late in the woods for a long time, and we stumbled upon. Well, and that's sort of around the period when you started taking notes. Whenever you would write things on your phone whenever you heard something.
That night was the beginning of that.
Yeah, I remember that because you were doing it, and then people would say things. I'd be like, "Hey, Paul, write that down too," and you'd be like, "Okay," and it just kept going, you know.
Yeah, it had sort of started with Old Barns before that. Like I wrote Old Barns based on this conversation with my friend Tim, who had survived this car accident. And I sort of like saw this journalistic side to writing where I just needed to become a better listener to be a better writer. And I had never been so serious about it as that night. We were hanging with Nathan and Willie T. Taylor, Nathan Moore.
Yep.
And we were having a song jam. It was like we played all those bluegrass festivals, and you know, and I always like felt like such a mediocre mandolin player, and everybody would be like, now let's play Road to Columbus, and I'd be like, I don't know how that shit goes.
You couldn't even think of a fiddle tune. That was great.
That's all I do is the stall there. Like, which one should I even say? Salt Creek. I actually kind of know that one. Someone else kicks it off. But we were hanging with Willie T and Nathan and you and I, and it was like song jam. It was like play a song you wrote, and I'm like, well, I know those. So
Yeah. Shoot the yeah. So anyway, a lot of the lines from that song came out of this night when we were wandering around the woods, and so like it's got great memories for me because it's a lot of hilarious things happened that night. But the idea was take this line. I was happy, but now I'm leaving. Or that's in a Willie T. Taylor song, right?
So remember, we were kind of like trolling around, playing songs, and for a while we were just on the porch and chilling. Yeah. I sang on Nathan's Hippie Fiasco album, Catch Me at Jesus.
I played on it too.
And I couldn't find the note, and I sang like, trying to hit me at Jesus. I turned into this like gospel soprano or something weird. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. And so we went about, and we like, it was the tiny guitar trio too, like, and then you were like the sidekick, the fourth man. Willie was playing like a tenor guitar. I was playing a mandolin that I borrowed, and Nathan was playing a ukulele. We were a tiny guitar trio taking turns, and we like picked up the guitar player, and we were like we went into the bathroom.
Yeah, in the bathroom because it sounded good.
And the guitar player like started a dead tune. And we were like, no, that's not this jam. This is a song jam. We only play songs we wrote. And so we just kind of ditched him and went into the ladies' room.
Yep.
And it was like all reverby in there. And Willie T played, what's the name of that song? Molly Rose.
Yeah.
It's like a murder ballad. Molly Rose and Lee McGowan. And it was just the four of us in there, and I just remember like it sounded so like haunting, and his like mustache was like really long, and you couldn't see his mouth move, and he was like, Molly Rose, I'm coming for you. And I remember being like so affected by it. It was like, it was intense, and like
I think we were also more yeah. It was intense. Yeah. Remember?
It was like way more intense than like standing around by the porta potties listening to someone play Road to Columbus, you know, like, while you're taking shots of whiskey. It's four dudes in a bathroom listening to this Willie T sing this murder song. So then he tells us a story about how he played it at this gig, and at the end of the gig, this dude like who looked real tough and like maybe was wearing some leather and looked like a vet or a biker or something, like approaches the stage, and Willie's freaked out, and he sets his beer down and says, I was happy, but now I'm leaving. Here's the rest of my beer. I'm going home with my demons. And I think you said, there's your song lyric. And I was like, I'm writing this down. And then I was all inspired. I was like, texted it to both those guys the next day. And I'm like, let's all write a song with this one line and use it in a different place and see what happens. And I don't know if those guys ever wrote a song with this line in it, but it's probably not that great of a line, but it works, I guess. So
yeah, you did pretty good with it. Play it, bro.
Yeah. It's not enough to feel it needs to overwhelm you is a Duvall line. Also another Wizard of Oz reference. The last song ended with Wizard of Oz. Not enough to feel it, it needs to overwhelm you. The senses you're having, you mean for them to blind you, and you would shoot the Tin Man in his heart. But I will be the bait, I will pose as pious for you, and keep pressing eye from anything you fumble and blow. smoke screen when you go. I was happy, now I'm leaving. Here's the rest of my beer, going home with my demons. Said your husband is gone, so hide your harmful hand. I didn't mean anything, I just wrote it all down to sing about it later on. I've got a knuckle through the wall and a hand in your skirt. You could ask me again, it might even get worse as this ray comes a path through my past. I was happy, now I'm leaving. Use the rest of my beer, going home with my demons. I'm reviewing all these notes, and I've rifled these possessions. It's the first that's most notable. It's what somebody told you in response to Molly Rose and Lee McGowan. I was happy, now I'm leaving. Use the rest of my beer, I'm leaving. Going home with my demons.
Yeah, man.
Hopefully everybody got a little exercise there, doing the demon dip.
So like a lot of people probably, like I said, I know a lot of this stuff already, but a lot of your songs are written kind of more in that, like in that guitar, in like a songwriter guitar style, and we turn them bluegrass or change them. It's like,
yeah.
And that's, so it's like, yeah, that's demons one way. It's not the Greensky way exactly, because the way that the band kind of writes songs would take Paul's songs and then turn them into collectively take this thing that's like maybe more singer-songwriter and figure out how to make it more like a ensemble full Greensky thing,
Yeah.
And a lot of times when Paul writes a song on guitar, which is often, as we just talked about, when he plays it on mandolin, when the whole band plays it for the first time or talks about it for the first time, like literally the first time, Paul will pick up a mandolin and they're like, we're trying to figure out the song, how everything goes, the changes. And then Paul's trying to learn it for the first time on the mandolin too. So even though he wrote it, kind of like puts him on the team of trying to make the song again, which I think is an interesting and cool point that I always enjoy.
Yeah, we get to play it together for the first time, sort of. Yeah. Occasionally I record and like try and work out a mandolin part first, or like have an idea, but also not. I today realized as I was trying to set up for this that I have like a mixer down here that I like could do some recording on. I think just plug it in my computer. I've never been one of those guys, but maybe I'll become one.
Yeah, I've been messing around with that stuff. It's fun, and it's easy. Not to discount all the engineers out there, but so I know we're gonna get Josh on here. But the last song that I wanted to bring up as talking to you about songs, since I know more than most people do about your songs, there's a song. It's called Leap Year. Perhaps you know it.
I do know it.
And I remember Yeah, the reason I want to talk about it is this. I have a text message from Paul that says, well, first of all, we were at some festival and we've been on tour for like what felt like 12 weeks straight or something. And we things can get a little hairy out there. This is years ago, right? And something happened. Paul threw a drink in my face from a front passenger of a van, and we were pissed. Like I wanted to punch him, and like he wouldn't punch me, and it was really funny because I wouldn't punch him very hard, and he couldn't punch me very hard. It'd be like the worst fight ever, probably.
More entertaining
we
than
were,
the song.
we were pissed, but the next day, it's interesting because the next day, do you remember this text at all?
I remember reaching out to you, and like we talked about this last week, and we talked about the text. We were telling Billy this story, but you have the text, is what I'm gathering.
Yeah, I found the text, and here's what it was.
All right, I'm have to sip my coffee for this.
Yeah, coffee, huh? Yeah. There you go. There's a chance.
Oh yeah,
it's coffee. It says, "It's not my actions." I'm reading this. "It's not my actions I'm ashamed of. It's myself. I've been using sorrow like a drug, alcohol like a weapon to hurt myself. Now I'm falling to the ground, and I can't see how far it is because my shadow is gone." And I said, my response was, "Well, at least you're lyrical about it, dick."
Do I still write texts like that? That's so heady.
No, maybe. Anyway, so, and I remember being like, well, that was, I was pissy, but I was like, well, that guy's a damn songwriter, even in his texts when he's.
Do you have the date on that text?
I did. I screenshotted it. It was
April 2012, I assume.
April 22, 2012.
Okay, yeah, we were on tour because we were just played that 420 show in Portland. I put my dog down right before we left for tour. He's the shadow, but I was obviously playing with metaphor for bigger things there. Yeah, so there's a lyric about that, I think, in the song, specifically what you just read.
Yeah, and there's a lot of the words of the basically the chorus in there. Anyway,
you know, this song seems pretty poignant all the time. How could one more day make a year so long?
Yep.
I think at the time I was talking about a lot of days at once, which is kind of one of my songwriting things. I don't know if it's a trick or whatever. We will discover that as I interview more songwriters. But, you know, I was talking about that day that I was ticked at Old Settlers Bluegrass Festival in Texas at you. And I think it was a runner car. And maybe I got out of the car, but who knows? I let the truth get in the way of a good story.
Yeah.
I was talking about that day. I was talking about the day that I put Jasper down and all of it. All at once. So then I can kind of be writing about, like I said in the beginning, kind of writing about like this one idea or this one feeling, and then many different facets of what made me feel that way, to hopefully reach the subject from more angles or more sides than such a linear thing. Or maybe it's just because I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Well, I certainly didn't deserve to have a drink thrown in my face.
Now everyone knows.
I play the song.
Salt Lake Barbecue. I see a comment. That's correct. That's where we were. By the way, I meant to mention the comments. We got a little lag problem, so you guys are like 20 seconds behind us. And it's just, I haven't figured out all that yet. So if anyone's really good at this whole streaming live thing and wants to help me interface for future episodes, I would be open to suggestions. But we'll work on the comment thing later. Here's a leap year. In a leap year. With a lot of days that make the year feel long. Okay, here is leap year. Well, I remember April years from now. Will it turn out and misled somehow? They say the good ones all meet up in the end, but I'm not headed that way. Nothing is over that hasn't begun. There's a life waiting for you. Baby, turn away and run. Completely invested, entirely tied, content to unwind. How could one more day make it year so long? Like I'm falling down when my shadow is gone. I'm gonna need to take a leap of fear. 'Cause I don't sleep sober, and sometimes I can't see. There's a river of sadness like whiskey in me. It's not my actions that bring me shame, only myself to blame. How could one more day make a year so long? Like I'm falling down when my shadow is gone. Gonna need to take a leap of fear. Whoa, whoa. Whoa, whoa. I'm afraid of living without this sorrow. Worried joy will lose all of its power. Cut off at the knees, nothing to stand on. Force my hand at rest. Whoa, whoa. How could one more day make a year so long? Like I'm falling down when my shadow is gone. How could one more day make a year so long? Like I'm falling down when my shadow is gone. We need to take a leap of fear.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, sorry about that drink, bro.
Yeah. Got a good song out of it.
I like that one. That's one of my faves.
I do too. You got a lot of faves, man. I'm lucky to play music with, makes my job easy. Killer fucking tunes.
Thanks, man. Thanks for being on my first episode of All for Songs. First guest.
Well, I made you the guest, I think is what was
I like that. I like that way better.
Yeah, well, it lets you be in the hot seat for a minute, so you feel what it's like. So when you get your other guests, man, I'm out.
All right, let's get Josh Davis in here.
Everybody have fun.
Thanks,
I'm
man.
going to Facebook to see what it looks like.
Yeah, hope it's
Hey,
okay.
Paul.
So I wanted to have Josh Davis on here, Joshua Davis. Oh, I better plug my computer in too. I'm at 17%. I wanted to have him on here because he is a huge influence on my writing. Back when we were a band in Kalamazoo, there was a band called Steppin' in It that Josh was the singer and songwriter for. And I just love that band. I love the songs. Josh made a solo record in 2005, I think. He can fact check me when he gets in here. Called Fool Rooster that, hey, buddy.
Hey, guys.
I was telling them how Fool Rooster changed me as a writer, man. That album hit me so hard, and I started copying all your tricks,
Yeah.
filling them off as my own.
Oh, that's sweet of you to say.
How are you?
I'm doing all right, hanging in there. How about you? Doing all right?
Yeah, man. I remembered how to play guitar in front of everybody again, and
Good.
this will probably be good for me.
I think it will. I think a little bit of a little bit of woodshedding is a good idea, right now.
Yeah, I mentioned in the beginning of the episode how there's like this weird, all this time on our hands. It feels like I don't know if it's like this for you, but for me, I feel this pressure to create, and it can sometimes be like a conflict of feelings. Like you want to think the song is this life of its own, but you sometimes have to just sit down and do it.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to be patient, with myself and with everybody else. Although I think it's hard right now, because yeah, we do feel that way. We do feel like this is kind of a momentous time, a lot of transition, a lot of like crazy stuff going on in the world, and so there's a feeling that we got to be, at the reins of it and grabbing onto it and flying, but I think that a lot of times that's a little bit of a trap as a writer. You know what I mean? If we're talking about writing, and so yeah, for me, I'm just trying to be patient with myself. You can hear my kids downstairs.
Yeah, the kids they're a thing too, right? I have one, and so I don't have nearly as much free time as it feels like I do.
Yeah.
If I really want to get down here and do some songwriting, it's like after she goes down, and I'm like, man, I'm so tired.
I know. You need sleep too. That's the thing. That's the next phase of it. You're getting into it where it's like now. I found that as a dad, like I'm able to use the time that I do have a little bit better, because instead of like it just being this wide open space where like I can write whenever the hell I want and whenever the muse catches me, it's like now it's like I kind of like throughout the day or throughout the week or whatever it is, I kind of like grab these little bits of inspiration, and then I tend to like when I do have that time, I'll like really sit down and usually use it well, or at least try to use it well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I remember when Talia was born, that you were telling me you were explaining to me what I'm going through right now, all these years later. Was she 13 or something?
Yeah, man, she's 14.
And I remember you telling me that you had to like schedule writing time, where you would sit down and, like put the hat on. And it was an interesting, I don't know that I knew yet how it had to be that way. And it's something I kind of want to talk to all the writers about, like how you find that balance between being creative as a skill and being creative as a muse. Like,
Yeah, I think that's like such a great question, Paul. And this is cool, by the way. I should mention that like this is this is a really great format. Everybody's doing all these live streams, and I am too, and it's been great, to feel connected to the community, but to have a conversation. This is a really good idea. So thanks for having me on. But yeah, I mean, I think that for me, there is a big difference between, I call it the art and the craft. You know what I mean? It's like there's a surge. I shouldn't say that. For me, it's like a daily kind of like, people call it like, you living with an artist's eye, where you're kind of observing things in an artistic way, and you're kind of picking up little things, whether it's little snippets of conversation that you hear, a movie that you watched, or something that, you know, you saw on your walk down the street, or you know, whatever it is that you're like, ooh, you know, that inspires some kind of thing. And so you jot it down, however you jot it down. And then, you know, for me at least, after I, you know, I have something that affects me emotionally, I'll sit down, and then it gets into the craft of like making it a song, you know, making it, rolling up my sleeves and sitting down. And I think that's the part that people tend to kind of forget about, that there's a lot of hard work that goes into, you know, getting it down into a song, and then editing. And I'm kind of a perfectionist, maybe too much of filter or something like that, where, you know, it takes me a long time to finally feel like a song is finished.
Yeah, and that pressure changes the more songs you write, because I'm sure, I mean, at least for me, it's like I feel like I'm just kind of cycling old tricks and old melodies, and sometimes I'll just pursue it if I'm feeling like artistically moved, like you say, or like something emotional is happening for me. I'll just pursue writing new verses over a song I've already written, and then try and shift it.
Yeah.
Do you ever do
Yeah,
stuff like
totally,
that?
totally. Or I write, you know, I write in a kind of in a meter that fits another song that I like a Dylan tune or something like that, and I'll take the meter, and I'll you know, write verses to that meter, and then I'll come up with a whole new, you know, chord structure and melody, and you know, edit it, you know, so that it becomes something of its own. But yeah, you know, I mean, we gotta have all these ways, you know. It's like there's a limited, you know, the number of notes out there, and you know, grooves, and so it's like I tend to get caught in the same, you know, wheels. I mean, you're talking earlier about, Anders was asking you about what, you know, what you tend to write on, and for me, that's a big thing. Like, if I want to change my, um, if I'm caught in a rut, then a lot of times I'll change the instrument that I'm writing on. So if I'm writing on guitar a bunch, then I'll switch to piano, and I'll write, or maybe I'll write like a bridge on piano, you know, and the rest of the song on guitar, or like write on mandolin or banjo, or just like, you know, driving the car and, you know, slapping the steering wheel and humming to myself.
Yeah, make recordings while driving. I have a lot of good ideas while driving.
Me too. Moving around. When I'm moving, that's when I get, you know, when I'm walking, or when I'm driving, or when I'm like, you know, pacing around in circles in my, you know, you know, at my house. I for some reason I got to be moving. I don't know. It's fun to talk about this stuff.
Well, why don't you play us a song?
Okay.
What are you gonna play
Cool.
for us?
I'm gonna play. I picked a couple tunes that you have a connection with. It. This is one when we did that show together at Bell's a couple years ago. Whenever that was, I can't remember when that was.
I was trying to think. Two years ago, so I remember it was 7-7, I think, but I don't know if it was
Okay.
17 or 18.
I can't remember either. Anyway, you covered this song. You did a beautiful job of it. And this is a tune called "Nowhere Without You." And this is one of those tunes that that the majority of the song I wrote on guitar, but then I couldn't figure out what to do for the bridge, and so I went to the piano. I remember I was alone in my house, which doesn't happen very often, and the kids were out somewhere, and I was like pacing around the living room with my guitar in my hands, and singing this tune, and just trying to come up with this bridge. And then I finally put the guitar down, sat down at the piano, and it just kind of came.
I remember trying to figure that bridge out, and I was like, "What freaking chord is that even?" So
Yes,
Sturts says 2017. Thanks, Sturts.
man, just like,
Spotlight you here. See if I can do some techie stuff.
yeah. That day when my roommate had you over for a while, cool and sweet in the summer heat, green eyes and a crooked smile. You were reading Dante. I tried to play it cool. Honey, you left me out. I'm breathless, sounding like a fool. These memories, pictures on my shelf, keep me company. Since you left me by myself, I'm walking the floor, and I don't know what to do. Wearing down in circles, I'm going nowhere without you. That autumn in the orchard, using your umbrella as a cane, only two of us in the falling leaves, and I couldn't feel the pain. Red and gold and orange, it never healed all the way. I'm moving fine, but in my mind I just can't walk away from these memories. Pictures on my shelf keep me company. Since you left me by myself, I'm walking the floor, and I don't know what to do. Wearing down in circles, going nowhere without you. Nowhere now and nowhere then. I'm learning how and I'm stumbling. All these words I want to say keep me hanging on day after day, day. Rolling donuts in the winter in the resurrection parking lot. You roll your eyes in faint surprise. I said, I think that's all this old boat's got. You made the perfect fallen angel. I wouldn't show you mine. If I could do it again, I would let you hit it out only time by time. These memories, pictures on my shelf, keep me company. Since you left me by myself, I'm walking the floor, and I don't know what to do. Wearing down in circles, going nowhere without you. Going nowhere, going nowhere, yeah. I'm going nowhere without you.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, man.
I came back and looked at the comments and saw something someone said about walking the floor, and I don't know what to do and the relevance currently.
Yeah. You know, I figured that would also be a good thing. Yeah, what a time, right? I've never been as grateful for social media as I am now. Usually, I'm kind of like I'm real down on it. Even though we use it as a great tool to use, but man, right now it feels like it's a really important piece, you know, of our lives. It almost feels like this is what social media was made for, you know, is right now.
Yeah, it really does. There is some kind of connection, and also what I wanted to do with this was just like satisfy us too. Like
Yeah.
we play songs like for each other and for an audience, that audience, and also you and I. I thought it would be fun. I'm having a blast.
I'm having a great time. This is a great
I
time.
love that song because you get me right in the beginning with the specifics. You know, like when I took creative writing classes. Oh, maybe I should change the view here again. I'm a really bad moderator.
You're doing
Uh,
great.
um, they talk about specifics and how that can help paint a better picture. But in songs, you have less space to do so. So sometimes a little bit of generalization is your friend. But like that's like when the first time I heard that song and you say the line about you were reading Dante. I just like it gets me. I'm like, oh, I love the song.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. I think that yeah, I teach at songwriting at Interlochen Arts Academy, and so I work with all these really talented, you know, high school students, and they come in, and one of the main things that I work on with them is limiting abstraction and working with concrete language, you know, and being more specific, and you know, like I'm always saying, you know, and this is like a total creative writing 101 thing, but like show it, don't tell it, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's all those, and you know, I mean, and I always think that when we're saying, you know, we sing about these things, we sing about love, and we sing about you know, society, and we sing about relationships, and we all sing about the same things. And so I think that if you can make things a little more detailed and make things a little more concrete, then you've got something unique to work with a lot of times. And yeah, like you're saying, like I think generalization and abstract language is important too, broad language. But I think that like for me, you know, and that's something I love Tom Waits as a songwriter, you know, because he puts in all these like bizarre, very specific, like, you know, landscapes and characters, and it's like these little details, you know. And so thanks for saying that. I like that song because of all little details too.
Yeah, and I think when you're writing, sometimes you think that those specifics will alienate the fan, like they won't know, they don't know that book, or they, you know, some specific reference of number of years won't apply to their own personal relationship to the song.
Yeah.
But it's like elaborates how you feel, which makes me, you know, like understand how you feel, and then I can feel the same way, and it's
Yeah.
really cool. It's cool.
That's the goal. That's it. I mean, and then, you know, I mean, I think that there's a delicate balance. I mean, you look at somebody like May Earlywine, who's, you know, one of my favorite songwriters, and she writes these epic songs that are so like that resonate with just everybody, you know, and you can feel one of her songs, and she does work in a little bit more broad strokes a lot of times, but she does it so well, you know what I mean? And it's a tricky line, you know, because you don't want to be spouting a bunch of cliche. You don't want to write, you know, the same kind of song that the last person wrote, you know, but you also want to bring a lot of people in.
Yeah.
I think you do a great job with that with your songs too. It's like there's a lot of kind of mystery in your songs, stuff that, you know, you're writing about, that I'm not quite understanding all of, but I get a feeling from, and then you'll hit it with a chorus or a bridge that's like, you know, here it is, you know, it like wraps it up in a way, which is really nicely done. Yeah.
Thanks, dude.
Sure. Yeah, this is fun. How are you doing? You all right?
What else are you gonna play?
You're doing great. I don't. I was thinking about playing. I was thinking about playing Break a Day.
Let's Break a Day.
But I could play something else too if you got a request or something.
I think Break a Day is good. I feel like Break a Day inspired Lose My Way for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I kind of talk about like kind of like a like economic depression and like corporations and blah blah blah. This one's got the verse about the rent's too high for you to pay. Corporations came in and made it that way.
Yep.
I remember this song really calling out to me in this. Some of those specifics, but felt really like powerful to me.
Oh, thanks, man. This is one that we did with Steppin' in It and have been doing for a long time. And I co-wrote this one with Aaron Allen, which who's a nice young fellow that's worked on your guys' songs too.
Yeah, that I was also written songs with myself and Bont and Dave. I thought about maybe having him on here from that perspective.
I think that would be a great idea. I think he would absolutely love that. Yeah, that's a great idea.
So tell us, like that the co-write thing is also a mystery to me. I haven't been very successful over the years. But with Aaron though, he just spits out all these words. So tell us about that relationship and how it started, and like what writing the song would have been like.
Totally, I've co-written with a few different people. You know, I've gone down to Nashville and done some Nashville co-writes and stuff, and but like with Aaron, you know, we've been friends since high school, and it's a very unique relationship, and I haven't written a song with him in quite a while. My last it's been a little while, but he is you know, he'll just, yeah, like you said, he'll just spit out like line after line after line and verse after verse, and we've known each other for so long and feel so comfortable with each other. It's the kind of thing where I'm able to go in and he'll just I'll have it's worked a lot of different ways. I'll have most of a song written. I think like in this case, I actually can't remember. I have no idea parts of the song he wrote and what parts of the song I wrote. But for some songs, it's like for Delta 88, I had a chorus written, or no, I had the bridge written, and he wrote a bunch of verses. He wrote all the verses, I think, to that song. And then some songs I'll have most of it written, and he'll come in and I'll say, I'm just stuck on this. I need some some lyrics for a bridge, and I'll like play him and hum him a little part, and then about 10 minutes later, he'll come back at me with like pages of
Pages of verses, right?
It's
Yeah.
unbelievable. And I'm the kind of guy that I'm the kind of guy that like I said, I have a heavy filter, and things come kind of slowly to me, and so I'm like mystified by a person that is so prolific in that way, and then has you know, we have the relationship where, and he has this you know, no ego in it whatsoever, and I'm able to go in and grab the things that I like, or I'll say, you know, this line is sweet, but this line doesn't work. Can you do something with this? Or I'll just put in one line of it, or whatever it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
The song I wrote with him was a similar experience. And like you, I can't remember who said what. I often still be singing lyrics and I'm like, God, I love that one. Did I write that or did he?
I know
We both did, I think is the answer.
yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is. So I can't, like I said, I can't remember. But I know I started writing this one when Steppin' In It was on tour, and we were in Waco, Texas. I had just been to a Cracker Barrel, my first trip to a Cracker Barrel restaurant, and I had been seeing the same like signs for the same restaurants and stores all across the, you know, when you're driving on the highway. And we always tried, and I still do try to visit those, you know, mom and pop, you know, restaurants and hardware stores and you know, whatever it is. But they're getting harder and harder to find, and so that's kind of where this song came from. That's how it goes. Every day we roll from town to town, see another mom and papa just getting shut down. And it's the same 5 stores everywhere we go. It's the same damn music on the radio. Hey, hey, hey. Can we just hold out and breathe today? You say the rent's too high for you to pay. The corporation came in and made it that way. When they say they don't spend songs in the minor key, it's like it turns too tough for the FCC. Hey, hey, hey. Can we just hold out and breathe today? From a little bit home to the Rio Grande, it seems we've seen the last lemonade stand. Well, all the flea markets and the paper routes, if you can't trade in bulk, you get most of that. Hey, hey, hey. Can we just hold out and breathe today? Hey, hey, hey. Would you hold me close and breathe today? Yeah, troubled voices on the rise. Thunderheads are rolling down blue sky. I know winter's come and gone. I can feel summer coming on strong. Can we hold on to both sides of this crooked road? Going away from the day the Comstock load. Yep, with an easy street, we're just a mile away. Whoa, from the dark of night to the light of day. Hey, hey, hey. Can we just hold out on the break today? Hey, hey, hey. Would you hold me close and breathe?
Yay.
I think if I'm gonna do any more streaming, I might have to get another chair. This thing's really creaky. I just realized that.
I didn't hear it while you're playing.
All right, that's good.
Man, the lemonade line. Seems we've seen the last lemonade stand.
That's
Little
Aaron.
Big
I know
Horn,
that's
Rio
Aaron.
Grande.
I know it is.
Man, that's a good one.
It's a good one. It's a good one. Yeah. Yeah. You Green Sky guys are always like, we'll be practicing, I'll be opening for you and we'll be playing a couple tunes of mine during your set and we'll be backstage and one of you guys will be like, oh man, that line in that one song, da 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 da, that's like such a great song. And I'll always be like, that's Aaron's line.
Oh shit.
Every time.
Well, that one about Dante, I love that line.
Thanks.
Well, thanks for coming, man. There was so much I want to talk about, but I feel like this could go on forever, and I don't know what my format is yet. I'm still figuring it out.
You're doing great. It's nice. It's been nice just to hang with you.
Thanks for coming, buddy. Good to see you.
Pleasure. Good to see you too.
Send my best to your family.
I will. See you, buddy.
Yep, I love that guy. Like I said, I'm trying to figure out the format here. I'm gonna play one more. I thought maybe this would be like 45 minutes. It looks like it's a bit longer. Whatever, right? Who's got something to do? Yeah. So hopefully everyone could hear everything okay. And I couldn't really follow comments. We'll work on all that. Like I said too, if someone's a tech wizard and they want to like hit me up and help me here. Yeah, whatever. Thanks for coming. 27 in an old jean jacket and there's dust under the collar. I've been walking for hours, but I'm almost where I said that I would be. Just like old television, this heart full of ambition has been haunting my dreams, reaching for grander things I never really knew if they could be mine. And I'm out way past my prime, looking for reasons I didn't get my time. Keep a bottle top list of the chances I missed while I'm on my way to that vacant place, but I promised myself I would not escape. One more drink in a minute, one's useless mess, just a helpless man with no self-defense. But if I'm not yours, what are you looking for? And I'm out way past my prime, looking for reasons I didn't get my time. My knees are bleeding and I seem defeated. If I try to save faith before I make it to where I set out and swore that I would find, then I'm out way past my prime, looking for reasons I didn't get my time. Then I'm out way past my prime, looking for reasons I didn't get my time. right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Hope to do this again, maybe next week, same time, same place. Maybe I'll pick a new location in my home. Maybe I'll play a different guitar. Who even knows? Feel free to let me know if you have some questions for next time or suggestions. I may take them in. I may not. Yeah. That was Joshua Davis playing for you. He has a lot of great music recorded. Joshua Davis Music, I think, is his internet handle, but you can find him. He's got solo records. He was in a band called Steppin' In It that I love. You can find their records also. He wrote Last Winter in the Copper Country, Dust Bowl Overture, a lot of Greensky songs you're familiar with. And then the other guy was Anders Beck. You know him. All right. Stay safe out there. Sending lots of love. All for songs.